Hi everyone, this is Kevin Paul, Psychic Medium, and I'm doing my first Facebook Live Q&A. We'll see how this goes. I've got some questions from people that have emailed them to me, and I think people can ask questions live, and I'll see if I can answer those as I go. But want to welcome people as they come on. Of course, people can watch this at any time once it's finished. So let's see here. Got my little, first of all, hello Melissa, happy St. Patrick's Day. Let me show you, I've got my Ireland shirt, some green on me, so I'm always, ready for St. Patrick's Day any day. So let's see some of my questions here that I've gotten in advance. What is the scariest investigation you've done? And this is a paranormal investigation. The scariest investigation, I think, not so much scared. I don't typically get scared. The only time I really get scared is probably when a rat comes running out, in an alley. That will kind of startle me a little bit. But the scariest paranormal experience, I would say, is when it would be this one particular entity, the spirit, that actually affected me, made me dizzy. I could feel them that way, and that probably threw me off for the first time. I was like, why am I all of a sudden dizzy? So dizzy I have to sit down. And I wrote about that in one of my blog postings on my website. So yeah, that definitely startled me, like, whoa. And so when you're doing paranormal investigations, you have to kind of figure things out as you go, how things affect you, what happens when certain entities or energies are around you, how do you feel them. So that was probably the weirdest or the scariest for me, is just that feeling of just dizziness, how she actually made me feel really dizzy. So the next question I got is, would you investigate a former prison or sanitarium, and why? I would say hell no. Neither one of them. And the reason I would say hell no is because there is so much energy, with residual energy, stuck in the walls of the place, as well as active energy, and there's so many of them that it would be hard for a medium to really concentrate. I mean, it'd be like you walking into a crowded room at a party and trying to kind of talk to anybody, and it's just unsettling. Their energy is very unsettling. Hey, Maggie Mills. And I would just say, no way, I'm not going to go into a place that was a prison or a sanitarium because of that energy and the people who were there. They're just unsettled people, angry people, upset. And typically if they're stuck there, then they're going to be angry, upset, pissed off, get out of my place. And so no, I don't want to step in there at all. I mean, I'm curious, but I know it would just be stepping into a beehive. That's an angry beehive. This is a reference for Maggie, who's a beekeeper, without any protection on. So I would say no to go investigate the prison or sanitarium. So thank you, Melissa. It's like, no, too much going on. Going into a house with just, a few spirits is a challenge enough. And I've written about that in some of the blogs, and how interesting all the different entities and spirits and energies are, and you have to kind of figure out what's going on, take the temperature, and then try to engage. For me, it's about trying to engage the energies there or the spirit there, and trying to figure out, how can I help you, what do you want to say, rather than trying to walk around trying to sage with some burning sage. There's a lot of technique and training involved, so you just can't walk into a crazy house or a prison and try to do anything except turn around and get out, because it'd be a bit overwhelming. I wouldn't be able to handle that. So that would be, would I investigate a former prisoner syndrome? Hell no. Someone asked me, what am I currently reading? Can you see this in the, yes. It's called Real Magic. Real Magic by Dean Radin, PhD. Smart guy. Very entertaining. It's talking about the field of magic, and that's what I call it. The field of magic is what I put everything into, whether it's being intuitive, empathic, psychic, medium, healer. It's all dealing what I call the magic. And that's why I have a little training program. Really, it's basically a coaching one-on-one program called the Academy of Real Magic, where I actually coach people through taking their abilities and developing them after understanding what their goals are and what their abilities are. So I call it the Academy of Real Magic, because it is magic. Science has not been able to figure it out. I guess that eventually it will become like biology and chemistry and physics used to be. Remember, that was like, the crazy, these are crazy people working in labs and doing stuff, and they didn't quite understand what this biology or chemistry was. And then once they did, it's a science, we can prove it. And I feel confident that eventually this field of magic, I call it, will be understood and categorized as, a real subject. So in the meantime, we're all just trying to get trained and figure it out on our own, but it definitely is real stuff, and it's definitely real magic. So yes, this is a good book. It's also an audiobook, Real Magic. So that's what I'm currently reading. The next question I have is, how do you know if someone has abilities? Like, personally, people are like, how do I know if I have abilities? And that's a good question, and we've all asked that question, and we don't know how to figure it out on our own typically, especially if you don't have anyone to help you and train you. And what I do is I do a consultation on abilities to help people understand what their abilities are. I actually meditate prior to the call and pick up on that person's energy and their abilities. And then I actually have a conversation with the person to find out, what have been your experiences in life? What is kind of unusual? What do you think is kind of odd, unexplainable? And I'm documenting everything, and with my ability to tap into you and then your experiences, I'm able then to explain to you by the end of the call, these are all your abilities, your natural abilities, your latent abilities, maybe areas that you weren't even aware of. And I write that up and email it, so you have the whole paragraph, and you can kind of research on your own and try to develop on your own, or you can enroll in my coaching class to help you develop your abilities. And I do that with a topic each course, which is 1 hour once a month with homework, because really and truly you have to do your own homework to make this work. Nobody else can do it. You have the abilities. It's like, for example, an athlete who has a natural ability to play a sport, and unless they train and have a good coach and actually get engaged in it, they're just going to be someone with ability, potential, and that's always kind of aggravating. Oh, this person has such potential. Unfortunately they didn't do anything, or they weren't guided by their parents or themselves to find the right outlet to develop it. So abilities, I think everyone has a variety of abilities. Some people have more abilities, natural abilities, just like an athlete. Anybody could be taught to bounce a basketball, and maybe that's all they can do. Others can actually, run and dribble the ball, then play in a team, and then score points, and then be counted on. So then they become the all-stars. So there's a variety, and some people are very natural at these abilities from very young. And I love talking with people and learning their stories, and then developing them. And sometimes we get to watching the movies and get kind of freaked out by the ghost and paranormal investigations. And I try to normalize it and make you understand what's going on so that you're not afraid, because you can't really develop when you're afraid of something. And if you have issues, we need to work through those so that they don't keep you from developing. So abilities are important, and I love helping people develop. It's kind of fun. I learn something by teaching others about their abilities. So that's about abilities. Anyone have any questions while I'm going through some of these questions here? The question is, how do I do a reading? And that's a good question. Now, doing readings does take training, and you have to start very slow and figure out how you receive information. Hey, Kirsten. Hi, Louise. The way I do readings is I take some time. I like to, if I'm doing remote, I do either remote readings or in person. If I'm in person, either one, I still like to get a photo of the person before, because then I'll meditate 15 minutes before the session, meditate, calm my energy, and then I open up. Then I look at the photo, and then I start getting information, messages from about their personality, their issues, what they're dealing with now. And sometimes I will actually get loved ones or spirit guides coming through with a message. I always like to just gather that information before the person comes in for the reading, or before I call them on the phone for a reading. And then once the reading starts, I go through what I picked up, because I really want to establish that rapport and let them know I've tapped into them. I'm telling them information basically that they already know, but that just kind of establishes a rapport and confirms that I'm really tapped into your energy. And from there, the reading is all based on your questions. And from there, I use tarot cards many times to help direct my readings. And with tarot cards, I don't memorize the cards, because that's way too much to do. It's too difficult. I use the cards to actually guide the reading, and the same card would be different for everyone, but I use them sometimes to guide the reading. And so it's all about you asking questions about what's going on in your life, or where you need to go, what you need to focus on, boyfriends, all sorts of crazy questions people may have. It's always fun to get information about them and to help people. So that's basically how I do it. The key is, for me, meditating, opening up, getting advanced information which I can use to just confirm that I've tapped into your energy, because I'm telling you things that, of course, you already know about yourself, and that's a big deal. Okay, you already know that stuff. What really I think people want to know are things that they don't know about the future, about what's going to happen, about maybe even a spirit guide. And since I've opened up, sometimes I will be able to pick up on a spirit guide if they're ready, willing, and able to communicate. And it's interesting with the dead. It's not like they have a whole lot to say. It's not like we're getting paragraphs and super long dialogues. It's very simple. It's an emotional energy, and it's many times information of inspiration, perhaps. The spirit guide may do that, or a loved one may just want to let you know that, hey, I'm here to help you, or call me when you need me, versus somebody else that's not showing up. This one is definitely around you and looking out for you if you need them. They're not like hanging out with you all day long. Typically the spirits and loved ones, it's only basically on a need basis. If you need them, or if you don't know that you need them, but you really need something, they magically appear, or you can actually ask spirit guides for assistance. But it's really basic information. And I've actually done a stand-up medium circle where you're actually, 5 or 6 people in a room with, I don't know them, and I just start giving readings from loved ones. And that's, again, practicing for me. That's not my natural ability or where I want to go, but it's part of developing, and it's important to do different things and figure out if you've got some abilities or natural abilities, or where you need to work, or, oh wow, I really missed out on this this particular message, why was that? Why didn't I tune in? So it's a challenge. It's even for me, I'm still practicing and developing, and I think that's something that you'll always do once you start developing. You'll find what your base is, and then you will develop your natural ability of doing things and the ritual that you use. Let's see if I have any other questions. Hi, Louise. No, I'm not doing any personal readings today because this is a personal venue, and I always like to do readings privately because the readings are very private, I feel. Let's see here. Anybody else have any questions about the paranormal that you want to ask me? Now is the time. When did you figure out you had an ability? Hi, Peggy. It's when I was younger. I don't know. I was just talking to I don't know why, as a young kid, talking or having a one-way dialogue with an uncle who had passed. And I thought, later in life, I don't know why, I just naturally had this conversation. I'm not clairvoyant, so I'm not seeing, but I do pick up, as a clairsentient, the feeling or sensing. And so I'm like, well, that was kind of odd, but I just did it naturally, and then developed other things that are just kind of odd things that have popped into my life. Why I knew about such and such, or I felt I had something, and I couldn't put my finger on it. I knew I could sometimes make things happen by thinking about it, or know something's going to happen before it happened. So it was those kind of weird instances that many people have, but I just had this really odd desire to learn more. I thought I need to learn. And then once I did some basic training and doing a lot of reading, I realized, I actually have the ability to receive messages for people who are alive, people who are dead. But I just kind of felt I had some special gift. Couldn't put my finger on it. And by reading and seeing things on television and being interested in certain things, then I was like, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to start practicing and training, and I've always liked the psychic field. And then the paranormal shows came on television, and of course many of them are pretty interesting, pretty funny. I look at them now and go, they're not doing the right thing. They're making a mess of it. Like, I think Ghost Adventures, that's pretty, it's entertaining. I like the way the investigators use their little tools and stuff, but they're not protecting themselves when they go in. Typically, they're trying to get anything to show up on their equipment. So, they instigate, they try to irritate, and, if you have an entity in there that is pissed off, doesn't want you in their space, then they're going to, try to strike out. They're trying to get things to fly so they can get it on camera. I think that's rare to capture it on demand like that, but the entity would definitely affect them emotionally, physically perhaps by a scratch. But I was like, who wants to irritate spirits? It's like going into a room and trying, instead of being friendly and nice and trying to like, okay, how can I help here? The doctor coming in and, kind of yelling at you and trying to be angry and trying to get you to say something. It's just really kind of weird. I think the Dead Files is probably one of the best programs on television for paranormal investigation. So the Dead Files is number one. Kindred Spirits is a nice combination of dealing with the instruments, the paranormal investigator instruments, and sometimes they'll bring in a psychic to work together. I think that's really the best combination. So Kindred Spirits is really a good one. All the rest are kind of just entertainment only, and just to get everybody excited to watch television. It's important. Oh, hey, Dennis. So those are some of my favorite shows on television that I have discovered, and some of them have been inspirational, and everyone can learn from all these shows. Like, definitely What Not to Do. There was one on, what was it? Exorcism or something, and it was just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And it's all made for TV drama. I mean, I know they think they were trying to really, help the people by exercising some spirit out. When that's not my technique at all. Typically, what I like to go is to take the temperature, find out what's going on, see if I can open lines of communication, and do some peer level counseling. So, why are you here? What can I do to help you? That's my typical approach, and then trying to reason with them to move them on. Like, wouldn't you rather be with your loved ones rather than, trapping these spirits in the house because you're getting revenge on them? And that's from an investigation I entitled "Trapped" on my website. That poor guy. And we know when you reason, I think that's the first approach. The second would be, okay, they don't want to leave and they're causing a lot of problems in the household. Then it's time to force them to move on, and that's never the fun part to do, but I mean, it's possible. It's time to get out. You need to claim your space with the ritual, with the intention, with what you say, the way it's done, to move on. Time to move on. But I always like to go with find out what the story is, and a medium can do that, where paranormal investigators typically cannot do it. If they're getting one word on a ghost box or whatever, they've got to figure out what's going on, so they're not tapping into the actual entity and trying to get impressions and communication from them. So the best way is to find out what's going on, how you can help move them on, and then give them some encouragement to go find their loved ones, basically, your loved ones, your friends that are on the other side. That's my best approach. It's interesting, sometimes you find spirits that have no idea that they're dead. They're like, and they're just kind of confused and walking around. So those you have to, someone's lost in a store, you have to explain, this is the way you get out. Oh, you're lost, or I've noticed you've been walking around here for a long time. Let me help you. Looks like you're trying to find a way. And sometimes you have to tell them, this is, you've died, and sometimes I get how they died, so I kind of just give some basic information and let them know that they're dead and that they need to now look for their loved ones and kind of break the fog. Sometimes you'll find ones who don't know they're dead. Others that are kind of like very territorial and for some reason want to stay there to exact revenge on someone or some group of people, or this is the house they built, this is their land, this is what they really love, and therefore they are so attached they're not ready to move on. Those are tough ones. So you get all sorts of things, but going back to that first question that I have is, or the second one, would I investigate a prison or a sanatorium? No, there's too many angry, people with mental issues. You can't reason with people like that. So that's a no-no. It's interesting to see when they go into, on these television shows, those places. I'm like, no. And when mediums go into it, it's just like going into a party. You're like, there's too much here. You just can't deal with it. There's nothing. You really can't really clear it. And I often wondered too, is when we have these mass killings in certain locations, wouldn't it make sense? I mean, right, everyone's going to do what they're doing to the ceremonies and stuff, but I'm thinking, wouldn't it be best to have a couple of mediums go and just take the temperature, because some people may not even know what happened and that they're dead and they're kind of stuck there. So I'm thinking, God, wouldn't it be best to have some mediums go in and take the temperature and clear them and help them move on? Because when you have that drama of a horrible, mass killing, boom, there's some people who are stuck there and they're confused, they don't know what happened, and then there they are. So I always think, God, I think that it would be great to have mediums, a team of mediums, go in and do some, evaluation and clearing and moving them on. I mean, don't you guys think that too? Anyone agree? Thumbs up. I'm trying to look. It's hard. This is my first FaceTime live, so I'm trying to figure out. I see some questions over here. Thank you, Terry. I don't know what I'm doing here. Trying to get the right lighting and answering questions, but it's fun. And my page, I'm so glad to have a large community I know people like to be entertained by the stories. I mean, who doesn't like to be entertained? But I also like to educate people in the field of magic or the field of paranormal, whatever they want to call it, and help people develop, I mean, and teach. That's really ultimately what my page is all about, my web page is all about. And that's my passion. And I think everyone should follow some passion in their lives, because it makes life so much more interesting than the regular daily grind. So if I can help others, find their passion and help others, and many people want to use their gifts to help others. I mean, why not? You have this ability. It's great to help other people. Trying to help, this is from Terry, as I knock my tripod. Trying to help spirits cross over, it's tough. Any advice? Yes, you have to, and if you have the ability to communicate with the spirits, you need to find out what's going on. Why are they there? Do they need assistance? Are they angry? Right, come to my house. I'm sure you have some really cool activity there, Lori. I'm not sure in DC. I'm not sure where everybody is, but back to the question of trying to help spirits cross over. Like I said, it's all about figuring out what they need, what they want, why they're there. Do they know they're dead? Why don't they want to leave? Is a number one question, and that's what a good medium's job is to figure out what's going on, what's the story, and if you understand that they don't want to leave because it's their place, then you've got a different attack. If they're confused, they're not sure they're dead, that's a little easier. You kind of give them the information and help them move on. It really depends. It really depends on why they're there, why they're stuck there, why they're still hanging out there. So it really is a matter of doing the investigation and opening the lines of communication. So that's number one. And once you do, you can figure out, oh, okay, this person needs some inspiration to move on. And that inspiration ultimately is, wouldn't you rather be with your friends and loved ones rather than hanging out in this particular, dimension, which is not helpful. It's kind of being stuck in between this live world that we live in and another dimension some people call heaven or the light, and then being stuck in the middle is no fun. I don't think I know of any spirits that are really enjoying being stuck here, unless they're trying to stay here for a reason, and some of them do. It's pretty fascinating. There's just like this one woman, this was the house that she worked in for decades. She ran this house, and I think it was a retirement home for widows back in the late 1800s, and it was her identity, and it meant a lot to her. So she was still hanging out there and not causing any problems, and so I didn't feel a need to cross that spirit over. Looking over the house, and making sure everything is I guess safe from other spirit. No telling I didn't get into too many details there, but I was just kind of doing a practice, like a practice run, sitting in a house and just taking the information, the energy of the house. I wasn't there to move them on, but she was there. She had been there, and we did some looking up in the history and found out her name, and it was pretty fascinating. How about moving on little children? Yeah, the first is fine. Well, one child, they typically don't know either that they're well, depending, are they presenting themselves as little children? Because remember, spirits can present themselves as anything they want. 10-foot tall monster with red eyes to get you the hell out of their space. Or they could present themselves as when they were young and pretty and vibrant and enjoying life. Little children, if in fact they are little children and they're stuck there, they're probably having fun, and running around. So it's just a matter of calling on them to to go search for their mom or their dad or their loved ones, So it's a really tough one. Again, you have to know it's not one formula for every spirit. You've got to figure out, why are they there? What's their connection with the space? It's like, let's see, Terry says, it's like you're brokering a deal, especially when you don't want to. It's beautiful on the other side. It says, see more. Let's see. They don't believe. No judgment, but they don't believe sometimes, maybe because they've had some things they don't want to share. Exactly. Yeah, sometimes you just can't, when you're like talking to a stranger, they're not going to give you all the information that you really need to move them on. So you really have to do some good peer level counseling and try to figure out why they're there, take their temperature, what kind of energy are you picking up? Are they are they angry? Are they afraid? Are they nervous? It's really about taking the time to figure out who they are, what they need, what they're doing there. So sometimes it is brokering, but I call it like peer level counseling. Figure out what's going on, have them talk as much, see if you can get as much information as you can. But emotionally, you can pick up a lot from people emotionally. Their state of mind at that level. Any other questions? Let's see here. I agree, Terry. It is like brokering a deal sometimes, especially if they don't want to go. Right. You have to figure out what's going to be their motivation. And you can say, yeah, it's beautiful on the other side. I've had experiences in the past. Hi, Peggy. I've had experiences in the past. I did seek out a medium for answers and was surprised when she... Let's see. I'm trying to do this on my little phone here. When she told me I had abilities... Sorry, folks. Doing it on a phone is harder. I was surprised when she told me I had abilities, but I needed to learn to use them. I've watched Dead Files and it's my favorite process of reading 2 books. Is there any advice on where to... Well, the easiest is to seek out people who are training people with abilities, and that's something that I like to do, is train people with abilities. I have that Academy of Magic class, which is really one-on-one coaching, 1 hour once a month with homework, and help guide you once we figure out what your goals are, what your natural abilities are, and I help people maneuver that and develop. Otherwise, you have to do it on your own and find books. Hi, Teresa. Teresa's my sister. You have to do it on your own. Find books, watch television shows, find out what's attractive to you, and then you have to figure out what's good, what's not good, what's good for you, what's really truthful or not truthful in information. So it's really tough when you're navigating on your own to figure out your own and develop your own abilities. There are lots of courses and classes online, or look for a metaphysical community near you. That's where I started, with a metaphysical community back in the 1980s, and is real great psychic medium. So a lot of psychic mediums do a lot of training. I do it over the phone or in person. Others have seminars that you can go to, so it's a matter of figuring out what your natural abilities are, what you're drawn to, and then doing the search. Now it's easy. Search on the web, and there are training courses that you can go through. Yeah, books are important to read. So what are you drawn to? And then find those books and read them. And some will be like, oh, this is crap. I didn't get anything out of this book. That's fine. Move on. There's probably another book that you will get some good stuff. Oh, Terry, this is your passion. My background is psychology. That's a good background to have, Terry, for this. If you're doing paranormal investigations and you're talking with the dead, or you want to talk with the dead, that's for sure. Psychology, peer level counseling. Let's see, any other questions while you got me on here? What time is it here? It's 3:51 in DC. It's a beautiful day. I'm wearing my Irish shirt. I was actually in Ireland when I got this on St. Patrick's Day. So the key is, it's not called St. Paddy's Day. When we call it St. Paddy's Day, the Irish look at you like, what? It's either St. Patrick's Day or Paddy's Day. That's what I learned when I was in Ireland. I was there performing back in 2000 and maybe 11. It's been a while, but those are your St. Patrick's Day education. And I've learned, the Irish are not known for their food. Definitely. Hernan, hi from Argentina. Hola. Hola de Argentina. Bienvenido. I do speak a little Spanish. I've had people ask me to do readings in Spanish, but I'm just not real comfortable with the language yet to be able to speak at that level when I do readings. So English is my number one. Spanish is my number two. And then I know probably hello and thank you and lots of other languages because it's important. Patricia from California, hello and welcome. Now, everyone, if you've missed some parts of this will probably be, you can just view it once we end it. And then you can see some of the things I said at the very beginning. I had some questions from people in advance, so I wanted to answer those until folks have come on. So, Patricia, Hernan, do you guys have any questions for me while you've got me live? This is a fun format, actually. I was trying to get it on my computer upstairs, but I need to do something else to get my Mac to do it. Yes, looking forward to seeing you. I think on Thursday night you guys are coming in. And I think one of your friends wants a reading. So, I'd be happy to tell more stories. It's always fun. Let's see. Any other questions? Going once? Going twice? If not, remember there are other questions that have been asked and I answered earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and just came to watch. So definitely, if you missed the beginning, there's some really cool questions there that you can learn from. And what's interesting with these phones is you never know where. I have to look at the camera, which is over here, rather than the camera, like a television camera. So it's kind of frustrating. So if you see my eyes all darting around, I'm looking at questions and everything. But I do like this Facebook Live. It's been a lot of fun. Can you read people? Yes, I can read people. That's one of my services that I provide. I do personal, private readings all the time. And I can do them over the phone. I didn't realize I could do them over the phone. I thought, I can only do this in person. But again, part of training is stepping out and trying different things and going, oh, wow, this ability transcends, time and place. I've learned that. I've picked up on people who are in the midst of dying or have just died. It's fascinating once you have a good base. Teresa asked, can you read pets? I have not tried to read pets. I know some people can have natural abilities to do that. I have never taken the time to sit with pets and read them and get information, but there's probably no reason why, if you have some natural ability to communicate with the dead and being a psychic medium, that you can't. But I've never done it. I've never sat still with a dog, a dog or a cat long enough to do that. But there's no reason why, but that's not my natural ability. I just haven't trained. I haven't practiced with it. But I know you guys have 2 dogs. I have to teach you guys how to start picking up on your babies. South Carolina. I hope it's probably warm down there in South Carolina. So thank you all again for joining, and again, look for posts. I'll do more of this, and happy to do readings over the phone and help people with developing their abilities. So check out my website, the bothsidesoftheveil.blog, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye, and happy St. Patrick's Day. Ciao.